cool.
Yeah, bud?
Yeah, bud. Just out for a rip, eh?
A big rip. Hi, that's Carleigh, and I'm Michelle, and we're best friends. And we've traveled together every year since the beginning of our friendship.
We thought it would be fun to go over all of our travel experiences together. Talk about what some of our favorite destinations were, what some of our weirdest destinations were, and just share a little bit more about our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, in 2013, we get to July when we went to Tennessee.
Our first big road trip by ourselves.
Mm-hmm. The farthest we had gone together in general, but also just the two of us. We went down to the Smoky Mountains, and the first night that we were there, we stayed in this like kind of scuzzy, remember?
No.
Best Western. It wasn't bad, but it was like we were only staying there for a night, and we knew we weren't going to get there until like 9 o'clock.
Right.
And we were only there because we were going ziplining the next morning through the
right.
Smoky Mountains.
Yeah.
And so we just sort of picked the cheapest place because we figured whatever. And then the next morning we woke up and we went ziplining.
Mm-hmm.
And that was terrifying but fun.
That was a blast.
Mm-hmm. But it's also ruined any other ziplining option for us. Yeah. But it was like these little treetop tower things that you would like walk around, and then you had to like jump off, and it was just like, it was crazy, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
My favorite one was one where you ziplined into the side of the mountain, and then your next one you had to like run off the end of, do you remember?
Yeah, the one where there's a picture of me and I'm just like
so you have to run, and then the ground just sort of disappears below you, and that one was my favorite because the rest I was just like a little bit afraid of jumping off.
Yeah.
Right? But it was like running and just keeping on going. That one was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
There was also one where they kind of had to catch you at the end. I don't remember why, but there was two guides with us, and so the guy caught me, and then you're kind of standing like face to face with him while he undoes your stuff and like puts you onto the next one. And I was like feeling uncomfortable because I'm so close to this person that I don't know, and I was like, so you have a pretty fun job, eh? And he stops what he's doing and looks at me and goes, are you Canadian? And I was like, yeah. Like, I got so Canadian. He was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, bud?
Yeah, bud. Just out for a rip, eh?
A big rip.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I just love that he knew that I was Canadian.
Yeah. That was a great experience. And then
Mm-hmm.
we went to the dress barn.
No.
No. That was Chattanooga?
The boot barn.
The boot barn.
We've already been to the dress barn.
The boot barn. We went to the boot barn and we got 2 pairs of cowboy boots for the price of one.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
And I just tried mine on again, and they really don't fit properly. I should have gone up that half size.
I gave mine away like 6 years ago. I never wore them.
I know, and mine have like a heel on them, and my feet are a mess. So like, I wish I could, like, if I could get an insole in them, maybe I could wear them if I'd gone up that extra half size. When you know you're old.
So then we went to Chattanooga after that.
I think so.
I think I will have to check the tapes. But anyway, Chattanooga, we went to Ruby Falls. It was an underground waterfall, and it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do this like not short little hike, but it was a bit of a hike
Mm-hmm.
to get to the actual falls. And
Like inside a mountain.
yeah.
Like you were surrounded by rocks.
Yeah.
It was cool.
That was my favorite. So then after Chattanooga, we went to Lynchburg.
I think so.
So we went to Lynchburg, and we went to Miss Mary Bobo's was it for lunch, I'm assuming?
Yeah, for lunch.
If you're ever in Tennessee, you have to go to Lynchburg and go to Miss Mary Bobo's.
And you have to book in advance.
Yes, book in advance. Essentially, it was an old plantation house that they've converted into...
I think that in the early 1900s, if I remember correctly, it became like an inn. And she, Miss Mary Bobo, whoever she was a really well-known cook, and so people would come for miles to experience her cooking.
That's right.
And so today, so even today, they still use her recipes and everything. So, like, nothing is healthy there.
No.
But it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have the deep-fried okra.
Deep-fried okra. So good.
So good. So you go in and, like, there's probably 100 people per sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And you're put into all these different rooms. And so you have a host in each room, and you're sitting family style around a table with people you don't know. So there's, like, 10 of you at this table. And they bring food in, and the host is like telling you stories about the place and like just generally chatting and like helping people get to know each other. Where are you from? What brought you here? All that sort of stuff. You take a scoop of your food, pass it on. Like it was an experience as well as a really good meal.
Yeah. Well, also in Lynchburg is the Jack Daniel's distillery.
Mm-hmm.
So basically every course had something to do with Jack Daniel in some regard.
Mm-hmm.
And because Lynchburg is a dry county, you're not allowed to actually drink.
Yeah. You can't buy the alcohol there.
The alcohol's free. You have to buy the bottle.
But yeah, the Jack Daniel's tour was really cool. We, there at this time, back in 2013 when we were there, they were free tours. I don't know if they still are, but you could pay, I think it was $10 for the tour, and then you would get some Jack Daniel's samples at the end. So that's the one that we did.
Yeah.
Michelle discovered she hated it.
Yeah. Not a fan of
she
whiskey.
took a sip and we went, and like handed it to me. You can have it. It's a good thing she was driving. Next we went to Nashville, because you can't go to Tennessee without going to Nashville.
Classic. Obviously
we did like Broadway, and we walked up and down and popped in and out of like the restaurants that had live music going on. And then one night we went line dancing, so we wore our new cowboy boots. Was that the only time you wore yours?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we went line dancing. That was a lot of fun. It was at a place that was like geared towards tourists. And this is also the trip that we discovered Cracker Barrel on, isn't it?
Yes.
Being Canadians and from the north, we didn't know that Cracker Barrel existed.
Now we love Cracker Barrel. It's so good.
They also have okra there, in case you were wondering. At least in the south.
Yeah.
I guess below the Mason-Dixon line, you can get sweet tea, which Michelle discovered on this trip also, right?
I love sweet tea.
And the okra. So yeah, it was a really good trip. Our next trip took us to Canada.
To the East Coast specifically.
Yes. Somewhere that neither Michelle nor I had been before. My parents had gone the year before, and so that's, I think, where we got the idea from. We ended up going to Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI, and we drove there through Canada, so we like drove through Quebec to get there as well.
Stopped in Drummondville on the first night in Quebec. Drummondville? Yeah, wasn't it?
That was on the way home. We stopped in Drummondville on the way home.
Where did we stop on the way there?
Some little tiny French place. I don't remember what it's called. So we pull in at like midnight, and we had been driving a long time. And it's this tiny little place called like Montmagny or something like that. I don't know. It's not like a major city. Yeah, so we went to Halifax first. We stayed just outside of Halifax, and we stayed at this like B&B, and this was kind of before Airbnb was a thing.
Yeah.
But it was called the Sea Watch Inn, and it was like right on the bay, and it had like a beautiful view, and the rooms were nautically themed, and it was really cool.
And then in Halifax we did some tours. So we did the Alexander Keith's brewery, where there are no fisticuffs to be had. And that was fun. I don't really. Was it? I don't remember, to be honest. I just remember drinking the beer at the end. And
it wasn't what we expected. I remember that because it was like, it was a performance. It wasn't a tour.
Oh, that's right.
So like we were expecting people to be like, and here is this, and this is how this works, and blah, blah, blah. But really it was like a performance of the characters, and there was singing and a little bit of dancing, and it was not what we expected from a brewery tour.
That's right. And then we went, was it like the hopper or whatever? It was like a land vehicle, but then it went into the water and it went down the bay and stuff.
Yeah. So it was like a tour bus / boat.
Yeah.
And it took us around Halifax and showed us some sights, and then it also took us into the water.
That's right.
And then it showed us like the military, because there's like a lot of military vessels there as well. So like pointed at all those. That was really cool.
And then I'm assuming, what was that hill called? The Capitol Hill? No.
Citadel.
Whew.
I think
we
it's
got
the
there.
Citadel.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
the Citadel.
Yeah, so because I am me, we obviously had to go to something historical.
Yeah.
So we watched some bagpipes play, and we walked around the Citadel, and we heard cannon fire. Was it every day at 1?
Yeah.
Not 12, because then they'd have to do 12 shots, but every day at 1, because they only have to do 1, they would light a cannon. They would shoot a cannon. Fire a cannon. Fire a cannon. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, so Halifax is cool. And then we drove from Halifax up to somewhere, and we got on...
It's like I'm reliving this trip again because I don't remember.
Actually, before we went there, we spent one day where we went to Lunenburg.
That's right.
And we saw the Blue Nose 2, which if you're Canadian, you'll know that that's on the dime. And we saw all the colorful houses and everything. And we saw that church that was in The Amazing Race Canada, in season 1 of The Amazing Race Canada.
And you're like, let's go on The Amazing Race. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
We never signed up for that.
No.
Well, we never put in an application. No. I know people who have, and they've gotten quite far.
Oh, nice.
But they've never made the cut. Anyways, yes, and then we drove up to somewhere, and I forget where it was, but where we caught the ferry from Nova Scotia to PEI.
That's right.
So like you drove the car onto the ferry, and then we went and sat up on the top of the ferry. I think it was like an hour's ride. So it was pretty cool. Got off in PEI. And that's where things went really crazy.
Listen, people. When you're booking a place,
read the reviews.
Read the reviews. We booked a tiny little B&B. Now, also, it was Pride, and we didn't know. So everyone thought we were lesbians. And they're like, sleep in this double bed together. And we're like, no, we want 2 separate beds because... we're not lesbians. Yeah. We're just 2 best friends on a trip.
There's nothing wrong with being lesbians.
No.
That we're not. So we wanted our own space.
Exactly. So we get to this B&B in PI, and it's beautiful. Like
on the outside.
On the outside, it's beautiful. And we get in there, and it just looks like somebody's house that they just like rented out a room.
It doesn't just look like that. That's what it is.
It's like there's childhood pictures. There's like baby pictures. There's like weird trophies. Like
Michelle opened a drawer to unpack, and it was just like full of personal items.
Yeah, like it was. And then also we had a bed to share. We did not have 2 beds.
There was also no air conditioning, and it's like the middle of July.
Yep.
Which to some people are like, oh, suck it up. But like, no, thank you.
No. I'm paying for accommodations. I expect them to do that.
And it wasn't cheap.
It was not cheap.
The breakfast, the homemade breakfast was like, you know, those little boxes of cereal. There's some of those, and like
a yogurt and a muffin.
Yogurt. Yeah, like it was not a homemade breakfast. Especially when we had just come from this amazing Sea Watch where Elaine like made us these fabulous meals.
Everything in shells.
Yeah, like very beautifully presented. And then we get here and it's like, here's your homemade breakfast. Have some Cheerios, you know?
Right?
It was not what we had thought we were signing up for.
You had to share a washroom with other guests.
It was a shared washroom, which when I checked back, it didn't say anything on the listing about it being a shared washroom.
Yeah. So we get there, we get dressed for dinner, and then we immediately go and find another hotel.
We drive down the road from this B&B into Charlottetown.
Yep.
And we just start stopping at every hotel. Every hotel we see. And like Michelle mentioned, it was Pride. So there were very few openings. So that's why we had to stop at quite a few. We finally found one. I think it was the Best Western.
Yeah.
And we're like, we just want 2 beds. That's all we need. We don't care anything else.
Air conditioning.
Yeah. Just 2 beds. And she's like, well, I have one that has a king bed and a pull-out couch. We're like, we'll take it.
Yes.
So this became the trip of Michelle sleeping on pull-out couches.
Yes. New theme.
Yeah. So we got our new accommodation.
We go back to get our stuff, and it's just like, just the worst attitude from these people.
So this is where I have to apologize to Michelle. Because I basically said, I'm not talking to her. You do it. Pushed her into the room while I hid around the corner.
Yeah. It's like, we've decided to find other accommodations, so we're just gonna leave.
But we did also say, like, we understand that because we're canceling within 24 hours, we're going to be charged for the night's accommodation, like all that sort of stuff. Like, we felt like we were fairly gracious about it, because if we had just canceled as opposed to not showing up, she would have charged us for the one night. And so I think she was a little annoyed that she wasn't gonna be able to charge us for the rest of the trip, And she was like, like, really kind of snooty about it. When, like, she doesn't have to understand, but I would expect her to understand that if her accommodation isn't what the person who was booking it expected it to be, that they're like, we're still going to pay for the night, but we're not going to stay. Like, I don't know. I just feel like you can't take things personally when you're in business, and she was taking things personally.
Yeah. Regardless, that was hilarious, but it's a bummer that we had to pay for something that we didn't use. Yeah. Anyway, so then the next day, was that when we went on the tour of Charlottetown? I don't really remember.
We didn't really go on a tour. We took ourselves on a tour.
Oh, that's right.
We just sort of walked around. We went to a coffee shop because they had a coffee there with a name of somebody that we knew.
Oh, that's right. No, didn't they, someone posted on Instagram, and I was like, oh my god, we have to check this out.
Yeah, the person whose name it was.
Oh, okay. That's right. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we're like, oh, well, we're going to be there, so we'll go check it out. And so when we were there, we're like, oh, we'll have this coffee because that's our friend's name, which was kind of funny. And then we just sort of walked around and, like, did our own self-guided tour. But we went to, I don't know if they call it the Parliament buildings there.
I think it's, the Parliament building.
And we're just sort of standing there looking around.
And we happened upon what are they called? The something players? The Confederate players?
Confederation players,
The Confederation players. So it's an acting troupe who impersonate famous people from the Canada's past. I'm
going to guess that each actor was one of the people who was, like, part of Confederation.
Yeah. And one of them was hitting on Carleigh. Sir John A. Macdonald, or Honorable John A. Macdonald. Oh, he gave you his card.
He gave me his card. I think it's funny that it was still right there. Yep. So he gave me his card. Confederation players they did walking tours. So he wasn't hitting on me, just to be clear. He was just trying to make money off of us. But yeah, they did walking tours.
I beg to disagree.
At this point, he was the Attorney General of Canada West, according to his card. And then the next day, we had, like, a beach day, and we went to Cavendish Beach, which, if you know anything about PEI, they have red sand beaches and stuff. And so we found Cavendish Beach, and the reason we went there was because there was this rock formation right nearby called Teacup Rock. Sadly, in Hurricane Fiona, just in September of this year, Teacup Rock was destroyed. So it no longer exists, which makes me very sad. Yeah. Because also, later on in this trip, we went to another place that now also has been partially destroyed by weather. At that beach, though, we wanted to go swimming.
Didn't know it was jellyfish mating season, though.
We're just really good at finding all the worst times to travel to different places and just, like...
And, like, the jellyfish are red. So it just looks like... I'm just gonna go for it. And, like, giant blood clots just all along the beach.
Yeah.
So we just stayed out of the water.
We did go in the water.
Oh, that's right. I wanted to at least put my toes in and say I was in an ocean.
Yeah. And then I think I got stung. Remember? I think I got, like...
A little...
A tiny little bit, because there was, like, a feeling that I'd never had before. And I was like, I don't know if I got stung. After that, we went to New Brunswick.
That's right.
So this time...
Oh, no, wait, hold on. Anne Green... Road to Avonlea.
Oh, yeah.
I am a huge Anne of Green Gables fan, and being in PEI was just, like, the highlight of the trip for me. And we went to, like, this... I don't even know what it is. Road to Avonlea type... Well, first we went to Green Gables. And I got to meet Anne, and I was in my green shorts. Was I wearing the hat too when I
don't
met
think
her?
you were, no.
Oh, thank God, because that would have been embarrassing. And so yeah, I was just in my element, and Carleigh was very gracious and just let me be. We had raspberry cordial and just toured the property, and it was really cute.
Went on a little hike around the property.
Yeah,
a little hiking trail.
Oh, that's right. And then the beautiful the things.
The foliage.
Yes, the foliage. And then we also did the road to Avonlea Village,
which turns out was more of a geared towards children, we'll say.
Still dressed up though.
The thing was, this is the thing. If I am given the opportunity to dress up, I will never turn it down.
Exactly.
Never.
So we dressed up like the people in the books of Lucy Maud Montgomery, and we had tea, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
And then all they had was cheese.
It was just constantly grilled cheese.
Just grilled cheeses.
You want something to eat? Grilled cheese.
For people who are allergic to dairy and are lactose intolerant.
It made for a tummy aches.
Yeah. We had upset tummies that day.
Yeah.
Worth it.
100%. Because also, along with grilled cheese, they just have ice cream.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Grilled cheese and ice cream. That was the meal for that day.
Mm-hmm. Cow's ice cream. If you saw Michelle's birthday vlog.
That's right.
We had Cow's ice cream for dessert on her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And we will link it wherever things get linked. Somewhere.
In the sphere.
If you missed it. But Cow's ice cream actually comes from PEI.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we were there, we went to the original Cow's restaurant or whatever and had ice cream there, which was amazing. Then we drove across the Confederation Bridge, which is an engineering marvel. And
what? That was just lovely the way it's an engineering marvel.
And it's really long and it's really high
and expensive,
and it was $25, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay because I think it cost the same to get the ferry.
Yeah,
so we did the ferry to get on the Confederation Bridge to get off.
Yep.
And we went to New Brunswick.
Yes.
And this is where we went to Hopewell Rocks.
Yes.
Hopewell Rocks is really cool because the tide goes in and out, as tides do, but because of the way everything is formed, it goes the water comes up really high. Yeah. And so it also goes out completely, so you can walk along the ocean floor, but when you get to the other end, there's you have to leave by a certain time so that you don't get trapped there, because otherwise you're trapped. I don't know why they don't just put stairs on the other side as well. But there's a rock that you can climb up onto and you have to wait out the tide. Which we had a lot of alarms to remind us to get back before. Yeah. Just in case. But it was really cool. That's sadly though one of the places where something else has been destroyed by extreme weather.
Elephant Rock?
Yeah, I think it's called Elephant Rock. So it used to be a rock formation that looked like an elephant, and then it has partially collapsed.
Bummer.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
We also did and this was near the end of our trip,
yeah,
so
we didn't do much in New Brunswick.
We didn't do much there. We went to Magnetic Hill. I would say don't do it. It was not worth it.
There's one in Burlington if you're in the area.
Yeah.
You can get the same effect.
And also, I think what was not worth it for us was that the car in front of us put on their brakes, which they're not supposed to, and so it ruined our experience.
Plus, you had to pay for it, didn't you?
Yeah,
it was an attraction.
Yeah, it was $10 to get in. It was stupid. Anyways, I would say don't bother.
No, not worth it.
And then we drove home.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, when the GPS says, "Hey, do you want to save 45 minutes on your trip home from New Brunswick?" Say no, because this is what happened. I said yes. And it cut us straight through the center of New Brunswick, which is just logging country, as opposed to the lovely coastal highway we could have taken home, which I'm sure had a myriad of toilets and restaurants we could have stopped at. We didn't stop for almost 5 hours, and I had to pee so bad, I made myself sick the next day. I made myself toxic. It was disgusting. But anyway.
She literally peed on the side of the road.
Yeah. Well, so did you.
I know.
Butts in the air, trucks driving by.
Logging trucks, because that was all that was on that road was logging trucks.
No cell reception either.
Yeah. So careful there. But we did have toilet paper with us.
Yes.
Because I am an overpacker.
Thank you so much for watching the second part of our travel stories. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel for part 3 because you don't want to miss it. You can also follow us on Instagram. We'll see you later. Bye!